has issue with or is jealous of. That's weird.
When Gary was 10, he was scalped by a Murphy bed in an accident, which led to 200 stitches and time recovering in the hospital.
So if people don't know, the Murphy bed are the beds that literally fold up against the wall, typically used in areas that have, not a lot of room or one room.
Studio apartments
and things.
Yeah.
So I'm going to guess it sounds like the bed came down. They typically come down slowly no matter what you do. So yeah, so it come down, whacked him in the head.
As we have heard time and time again, traumatic brain injuries are a bitch. Damage to the frontal lobe has a greater impact on a person's impulse control and ability to exercise judgment.
We've heard that more than once in stories.
Children who suffer from traumatic brain injuries are more likely to develop psychological problems such as schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. Gary also suffered from rheumatic fever when he was a kid, which, later specialists, psychiatrists will say that also could have affected him.
Well, with a super high fever associated with that. Well,
and a traumatic brain injury.
Well, yeah, and super high fever can, cause brain issues and damage of certain types, I'm sure.
It is also reported that Hilton was a thief in childhood, stealing from others, shoplifting. A girlfriend whom had dated Hilton in their early teenage years confided in a reporter that he harbored a deep, dark secret. According to Hilton, he had an incestuous relationship with his mother when he was a young boy.
Oh, check another one off the list.
Although I've not been able to confirm this information, it's hearsay.
Now, we were going over our notes in your story there, and I saw some of that as well when I researched it, and I had a strange thought about that. Can I share it?
Yes.
So, as weird and bad as it would be to have your mother have a sexual relationship of any type with you, that would be horrible. But what if she told you that your brother was a better lover than you?
Like she broke up with you?
Like your mom dumps you, right? Would that be even worse? Or would that be, it's already bad?
High five on the incest joke?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No holes barred here.
The hot take. This is a hot take, guys. So if your mom, you have sex with your mother, she dumps you and tells you that not only is your brother a bigger lover, he has a bigger member than you do.
Yeah, and not to joke around too much about incest because it is terrible.
It's horrible.
But we're depraved and we have such a fucked up sense of humor that we find the most horrible things hilarious. Do you think that if this were the case and then someone calls you a motherfucker, do you think you would laugh a little bit? And be like, oh, well, true.
Well, I did.
True. Or would you be like, and get really mad?
Because
like even more so than normal?
Well, it just would remind you of your mom dumping you for your brother.
Okay, so I guess enough with the incest jokes, but we are in Appalachia, and you can't really talk about the region without a few incest jokes, right?
We make them too here. Nothing says loving like fucking your cousin, right?
I guess.
No.
Nothing says loving like giving your cousin a bun in the oven?
Yeah, so you've been, just a side note, you were telling me the other day, I think this is relevant.
Okay, well, yeah, okay, so back to the incest thing, like, it's fine when you make fun of something, like you're part of the culture, so you can make fun of it, or if it's your family, you can talk shit, but the minute someone who's like an outsider does it, it makes you really mad, right?
Well, it's because they're not, they mean it, and they believe it, which that's when it's malicious.
Right.
Right.
So we're just joking around, guys.
We are kidding. We kid.
We do.
We love the Appalachians, and we love the entire country.
We love you cousin fuckers. It's fine.
We love international people that made it.
Okay, so yeah, side note, I got really into Ancestry.com recently.
You did?
And mapped out, like, my whole family tree.
And you made an interesting...
My mom's side, my dad, there's just, goes way back, and I found some really cool stuff.
You made an interesting discovery you described to me.
Well, I knew it, but just seeing it had me chuckle, because distantly, my grandparents, my nana and my papaw, they're deceased now, but they were cool people. They were, seventh cousins or something. It was so far down.
That's pretty far removed right there.
Right. Like so it was like my tree branched, right? And then it just like connected back, and then it was just like a line after that. And I was like, oh my God.
Your tree grew back into a single branch?
I'm them people we make fun of.
Good golly.
Yeah, I know. But it was so far back.
Right.
I mean, this guy that was down the line, it's like my 8th great-grandfather or something.
Yes.
And it was in like 1810 or... So, it's not like...
Yeah. And rolling back around, like 7th cousins coming back around, that's really not... It's not like...
Right.
you're married your first cousin.
Should I be telling people this?
Maybe some people I bet that person from the UK already assumed it.
Oh, the one that calls the hillbillies. I know. I just keep going back to that because it's super funny.
No, it is. It's hilarious.
So I like to defy Appalachian stereotypes, but here I am living it.
You're living it. But yes, again, it happens. It happened in a very small population, small pockets of people all over the country in the 1800s.
Well, look at the fucking royal dynasties.
Oh, God, they look inbred.
Like the Holy Roman Empire and shit.
Oh, dude.
There was like a couple of those kings that were like seriously deformed from all the inbreeding.
Yeah, I was listening to the last podcast and Marcus mentioned King's diseases. And which I'm going to dig into that more just from a personal perspective.
Yeah, I remember like learning about that stuff.
But I'm sure all that stuff was because of coming back around, getting doubled up chromosomes of bad ones and all that.
Well, yeah, because it was like marry a royal cousin and keep the bloodline and the family pure.
Hey, can I say that the royal families left in any part of the country, or part of the world rather, they got them really close eyes. They look like, peaked looks. They just look like sickly, like frail. And I think it's for this very reason.
Right.
So your people...
That, and they probably drink a lot and fall off their polo horses.
They do. That does happen.
Okay.
And it's hard walking on top of peasants all the time.
Okay,
tough.
So now that we know that, like, my family, we're all cousins or whatever, let's get back to the story.
Yes.
Okay. Hilton's family finally settled in Hialeah, Florida. I hope I'm saying that correctly.
I guess.
During this time, Gary was able to stay in one place long enough to make some friends at school. And though he was a quiet kid, he did kind of keep to himself. But he didn't go out a whole lot to play or engage in social activities. But it was more than usual.
A little bit. He's had a chance to settle down.
Trying to break out of that shell. Stay
in the same place. That's probably a lot better for a young person.
Gary's IQ is about 120. It's a little higher than average, isn't it?
Is that average?
I think average is like 100 to 120, something like that.
I don't know. Mine's like 250.
Well, he loved history and reading, though he was an underachiever. Didn't really care about school, making the good grades. He was gifted a Dalmatian when they made this move to Hialeah, which he adored. Unable to connect with his parents, he began turning to dogs for an emotional connection.
Okay.
He has like an emotional support dog.
Yeah, so not a lot of friends.
Before that was hip.
His mom's kind of cold. His
stepdaddy sounds like an asshole.
Nilo sounds like an asshole. And so, yeah, he's not making any interpersonal connections with the other people. So that's not a big... Some people just relate to animals better.
By 13, Nilo and Cleo's marriage was on the rocks. The pair separated, but Nilo continuously hounded Cleo to get back together. During one of those occasions, Gary confronted his stepfather with a shotgun. And you might be asking, where did he get a shotgun? Well, his friend had left it at the house. Pulls the shotgun. He tells Nilo, if you don't leave the house and stay away from my mom, I'm going to kill you.
So he's trying to protect his mother?
Yes.
Well, that's noble.
Nilo pulled a mattress off the bed, holding it in front of him, and then dared Gary to shoot him.
Probably not a good move.
Gary pulled the trigger.
I don't blame Gary, honestly, in this instance.
Nilo was not seriously injured, but he did press charges. Gary was sent to live with another family, and from what I understand, it was considered like a foster home, but these were like family friends, so it wasn't like he was sent to live with complete strangers.
So it wasn't like the state intervened, placed him somewhere else. It's more like, will you let Gary come stay with you for a while? We're having issues.
And before he was sent to the foster care, like right after the shooting, he spent some time in a mental hospital. Getting evaluated, right. All that. Released, goes to this like foster family. Friends would say that while he was in foster care, he actually seemed more relaxed and a lot happier than before.
Well, he probably was.
His foster father came out later and talked about Gary's behavior and described him as just being a normal teenager. Like, he didn't really understand why there was so much conflict in the home.
Right.
And why Gary's behavior was such a huge problem in this household. He was like, he just does normal teenage kid things.
So if they are friendly with the family, they probably have their own ideas about what's going on in that home. And they're seeing evidence of it. He's at our home. He seems happy. He's normal. We're not, he's not doing crazy stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, it was like hanging out with the family. They would go fishing.
Be normal.
Seemed like he was really soaking up this, kind of stable, more normal home life.
He's probably glad to be there.
In high school, Gary was active in the band. He liked music and really enjoyed playing music, but he ended his high school career early, dropping out to join the Army. From 1964 to 1967, he was stationed in Germany where he earned his GED. He also met and married his first wife, Ursula, when he was 21. By the way, can I just say, Ursula is such a cool name. I love that.
You would name a kid Ursula?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ursula Elvira.
Oh.
It's a great name, right?
That's pretty cool.
Gary was only one of 19 soldiers assigned to the Davy Crockett platoon. I'm going to tell you about this unique unit.
They had an important job, didn't they?
This unit was tasked with directing and deploying the Davy Crockett missile, an XM-388 nuclear projectile, the smallest nuclear weapon developed by the U.S. military, designed for use against the Soviet Union in case the Cold War broke out. And when I say this is like a small nuclear weapon, it is seriously like the measurements. And I know a little bit about artillery, I guess, but not, I don't know a ton, but it was like giving measurements of like millimeters.
Right.
I mean, so it seems like it's a pretty good targeted missile,
So yeah, I know a little. So when they first dropped the bombs, first thing the military wanted, instead of
like the atom bomb and
yes, the first two,
right,
on Japan. First thing, because it was a big clunky thing that they didn't even know if it was. I mean, it's big as a damn car. They're just like, and you've seen the devastating effects. So the military is like, can you downsize that into a tactical form, battlefield ready that I can use in direct conflict with another army.
And spare civilian casualties.
Top priority. Well, and us too, because if I'm a valley over from the position of the enemy and I explode one of the two big boys, if you will, we're all dead. They wanted small, they wanted tactical, where it can be deployed in real time, on the battlefield. This sounds like an actual culmination of that very program to give them tactical nukes.
Well, with the kind of stress that Gary was under being assigned to this unit, I mean, it's kind of no surprise he started to crack under pressure.
I'd say they weren't the usual. I'm sure it's stressful being a military period, but they were very top secret, big deal. Do your job. It's a very important job. You're handling these damn things that could blow everything up. Yeah, I'd say that'd be pretty stressful.
Gary began having mental problems. He started hearing voices, eventually having a full-blown schizophrenic breakdown.
And that could be related to his traumatic brain injury.
The Army placed him in a mental hospital where he was drugged with Thorazine. Rather than giving Hilton a Section 8 discharge, like for, medical reason, they let him go with an honorable discharge. Upon being deactivated from the Army, he returned to the U.S. and brought his German wife with him. By 1969, the marriage to Ursula fizzled. He was bouncing around from job to job in the South, eventually ending up in DeKalb, Georgia. It was during this time he got his chauffeur license. Is there a big demand for chauffeur drivers in Georgia?
Well, I guess if he's anywhere near, the big city, Atlanta or something, right?
Driving around like
DeKalb
the Migos
County is right there by Atlanta.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So y'all know who was driving back then, but people with sideburns and lots of damn hair, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of hair. But he got a DUI and ended up getting his license suspended for like a year. And this was in 1973. And he never took steps to reinstate his driver's license after this. His second marriage ended in divorce soon after because, he's not keeping a job, drinking and driving.
Well, and I'm sure those problems he developed there at the end of his military career